Evening, folks. Brian here, Geomagnetic Earthwatch. Monday, May 5, 2025. Yes, it's the shirt again, folks. We're going to continue our talk with the state of our protective magnetic field. What I believe is happening. First of all, let's explain geomagnetic excursions, not total field reversal. A geomagnetic excursion is a shorter event which can last thousands of years, maybe 10,000 years. They may or may not be a global event, but changing sporadically at different locations. An excursion is usually defined as a deviation of the virtual geomagnetic pole by more than 40 to 45 degrees from the geophysical pole, and then returning to its original location. Or it could carry on on its excursion beyond that point and progress into a full geomagnetic reversal. It is irrelevant trying to figure out which one it's going to be. What's important is what's happening to our protective field right now and what I believe is happening. So right now we're undergoing a directional geomagnetic excursion. Magnetic poles meander. They'll move around certain areas, like they were moving around northern Canada for a while, like northwestern Canada. Then it started, then September 1859, the Carrington event sort of gave it a kick in the butt. Then it shot into Nunavut, Canada until about 1903, 1904. Then it started its directional excursion heading into Siberia. Now, what I believe is happening now during geomagnetic excursions and on the way into full reversals, the two primary magnetic poles are canceled out, and multiple magnetic poles develop. Multiple as in 6 or 8, maybe even more magnetic poles. And I believe that this is now just starting to happen. So these poles will emerge in multiple places, unexpected locations, and there's going to be no forecasting modeling. We're not going to know. It's going to happen here, it's going to happen there, it's going to change and then appear somewhere else. So there will be intermittent states of polarity, resulting in changes in unpredictable field behaviors and field strengths. We're not going to know from one period of time to the next period of time when the next one's going to show up. And the weak field lines in between each one. This is the important thing. We're not going to know. Could the situation over Spain, Portugal, France be been one of those? And if the power failure in Bali, Indonesia, was the result of another tear or rip or hole in the magnetic field, please keep in mind for the past several days, we have had sustained elevated solar winds approaching the 800 kilometers per second. The normal solar wind speed is anywhere from about 250 extremely low to about 320, 325 kilometers per second. That's normal. This is why I've had this severe compression headache, fighting a migraine all day today. I've been feeling it. So what's going to be the consequences? Spotty changing areas over the planet where the magnetic fields developing possible magnetic cusps, allowing increased levels of radiation. Before I continue, I'm going to show you a video of the magnetic cusp. So this video I'm going to play, it's the NASA animation showing the solar wind interacting with Earth's magnetic field. and causing atmospheric loss of the polar cusp. So these are highly charged particles, solar winds, hitting our magnetopause. I'm going to pause it for a minute. So you remember this is the magnetopause. So the yellow line is the outer edge of our protective magnetic field. Resume. And the highly charged particles, for the most part, will funnel down into the magnetic cusps to the polar regions and then into the core of our planet. You'll notice, actually, they are showing magnetic north no longer in Nunavut, Canada, but in Siberia, Russia. Point of observation. So one more time. Solar winds, highly charged particles, hit our magnetopause, outer edge of our protective magnetic field. And the highly charged particles are funneled down through the magnetic cusps and into the core of our planet. So if I am correct, I believe I am, we are now developing multiple magnetic cusps, multiple magnetic poles. We're in the beginning of that state. The consequences, as I just finished saying, spotty changes, areas of weak magnetic fields all over the planet. It is going to deplete the protective ozone in spots in sections over the planet. So you've heard of ozone depletion, which is confined to the polar caps, Antarctica and the northern cap. That's where the two primary magnetic cusps are. We're no longer going to have two primary magnetic cusps or magnetic poles. So we will have increased levels of ultraviolet radiation, including the more dangerous sea level reaching us here and there. Next, proton events, radiation storms. Now, when we have a radiation storm, the protons are limited. They're funneled down into the magnetic cusps, that animation I just finished showing you. They're funneled down into the north magnetic poles and the south magnetic poles into the center of the Earth, to the outer core. The outer core is absorbing all that energy. This is why when it reaches a certain threshold, the proton events, radiation storms, they have to restrict civilian flights, all flights over the polar regions because of the radiation hazard risk to flight crew and passengers. So once it reaches a certain threshold, S1 or S2, then they have to stop or reroute all air traffic away from the polar regions. So now, if we're going to be developing multiple cusps here and there, what do you think that's going to do to the air traffic? Like say we have 6 or 8 or 10 magnetic poles popping up, and we don't know where they're going to be popping up and how long they're going to be staying here and staying there. What do you think that's going to do for safe air travel? Which is going to be canceled altogether. Solar radiation storms. I'm going back to the solar radiation storms, or the solar proton events. Now these happen following some explosive events from the sun, solar flares, CMEs, and so on. They normally take 30 minutes or a little bit longer to reach Earth, and they can last for days. Again, right now they're confined to the north and south polar cusps. But if we're going to start developing multiple cusps, I'm not even sure if they're going to be actual cusps. There's just going to be multiple magnetic poles everywhere. Let me show you another picture. And here we have a picture of Earth's magnetic field between reversals and during reversals or excursions. So as it normally should be, when the magnetic poles are more or less antipodal, opposite of each other, magnetic field leaves the south polar cusps, envelops the planet, and comes back into the north magnetic cusp. So we have normal, stabilized, not entangled magnetic field lines. However, during excursions and during a reversal, we developed multiple magnetic poles, shifting and changing sporadically, tangling up the magnetic field lines, disorganized, weak. So the absorption is no longer going to be concentrated to the polar regions. It's going to be everywhere. And again, there's not going to be any more forecast method. We're not going to know. We're also going to have increased muon penetration through the crust. And when muons interact with silicate-rich magma, it bubble nucleation, it heats it up, it bubbles, it ascends up through the mantle plumes. Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, fires. Are we not having 79 erupting volcanoes today? And another thought, when we start developing multiple poles, how are compasses going to work? How are GPSs going to work, if they're going to work? Guidance systems on missiles. Migratory patterns on animals, mammals, birds, bees, etc. That is the state that I believe our magnetic field is developing into right now. So up until now, because of the excursion of both north and south, south is moving a lot slower, and I think it's moving a lot slower because from the south ecliptic is the binary system coming in. And I think the binary system is trying to keep magnetic south in place. It's fighting, it's struggling. But anyway, I still have my headache. What was I going to say? I don't remember. There is one other point, though. So somewhere in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, it states that the animals will turn on us, attack us, and kill us. So with the increase of all these levels of radiations coming in and affecting the human brain and behavior, we can better adapt, most of us, because we know what's happening. We know, we can expect it. Animals and wild animals, their brains are not developed like ours. They're going to go mad. They're going to go crazy. They're going to be attacking everybody. Have you noticed the dogs in your neighborhoods are barking a lot more now? I mean, they are barking a lot more. Is the cosmic radiation really starting to affect their brains? And as again, the section in the book of Revelation, the beasts, the animals will be attacking us. Increased radiation. It's just a thought, folks. I had enough for this evening. That was all, as you were.